So, welcome one and all. So today I'm going to make a game, but today we're going to do a simple health system. So I have a scene set up here with Unity. I have three GUI texts here. Let's pop that up to say, whoa, 24. Oh wait, that's because that's 240. Let's pop this up to, no, say 32. And 32. So currently what I have is I have three GUI texts. One's called current, max, and is dead. I have them placed out pretty much like this. So here's the max one, the backslash 999, and then the current 999. And is dead is there, but it's disabled. So that's how I have a current scene set up. So let's make a simple health system. It won't take too long. So we'll start off by creating a script, and we shall call it health. If I spelled that right. I can't quite see this far. So let us open Mono Development, and yes. So I already have a health script here. I'll show that in a minute. But first we're going to go with this script. This script is pretty much... It's not going to be a mono behavior. You can have it be a mono behavior, but it's going to be independent. Its own, doesn't matter what software you're using for your own or for Unity. So first we're going to start out with the fields. Region fields. And region. So our first field is going to be a private integer, and it's going to be max health. We're going to just default that at 100, we'll say. And then it's going to be a private int current health, which just for sake we'll default that at 0. You can make these floats. I'm just going to stick with integers. You can stick with uints. That will save some time later, or some little bit of error check in there, but I'm just going to go with ints. So this is currently the maximum amount of health you can have. It can be 3, it can be 9999, it can be 100, like this. It can be whatever you want. It can be any amount. The current is currently what your character is at. So we shall create some properties to access these. So first we'll have a public int max health and a public int current health. So we'll just have a get, which simply returns max health. Make sure it's the private one and not the property, otherwise you'll have an infinite recursion. And we'll have a set here. So set's going to be, we're going to want to check it, so max health. So if the value is less, we don't want the max health to be less than the current. And we don't want it to be less than the current health. If it's less than the current health, set it to current health. Else, set it to value, because we don't need to go worried, because that will never go below 0, and you'll see why shortly. And next one, get. I'm going to return current health. Yet again, make sure it is the field and not the property again, or you'll get recursion, which a never-ending loop. And this set is going to be, so we want the current health. We don't want the value to be greater than max health. It's usually when the thing doesn't pop up, it's usually a good sign that there's probably an error somewhere. So we don't want it to be more than a max. If it's more than a max health, set it to max health. Else, if the value, we don't want it to be less than 0 either. it's less than 0, set it to 0. Else, set it to the value. So there's some error checking. So I'm going to get some, that's not really my concern, any of those. I'll go through those later. So everything seems to be good here. So we have the two getters and set, or two properties for the two private fields. Then we'll create another property. It's going to be a public bool is dead. So basically what this is going to do, it's just going to be a get. It's just going to return if current health less than or equal to 0. And that's all it's going to do. It's pretty much just going to say, yeah, your character's dead. So next field is going to be constructors. So you technically don't need this if you're putting this in a script or something like that, but I'll do this for my own. You can just have the script, like you can have if you have a script, you can set it for these to be public variables and set the values inside the inspector and stuff like this, but this is going to be independent. This will work with any type of engine regardless. So we're going to have a constructor. It's going to be a public health constructor, and it's going to have a max equal to 100. So that means if you don't set anything, then this integer is going to come to 100. Now one of the problems is this thing doesn't accept what's known as pre-assigned values. So what you have to do is you have to go to project. For some reason went underneath. Let's just close that for now. Or it's going to freeze up on me. Yeah, it's going to freeze up on me. Yeah, it totally froze up on me. Come on. It just froze up on me. Actually, it's not even frozen. It's just stuck there. So what we're going to do is we're going to reopen mono development. We'll save that. Okay, there we go. So what we want to do is we want to go to project. Show that again. We'll go to project, assembly C# options, build to general, and want to go to 4.0. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it does that once in a while. So then what we're going to have the max health equal max, and then current health equal to max health. So there we go. So that will populate the values. Did I lose my... No, there we go. So there's our constructor. So let's make some methods. First method is going to be a public void take damage int amount. So basically all this is going to do is this is just going to actually, you don't really need to do this. You can just, it's really just going to be a one-liner of current health minus equals amount. And then we're going to have, so if you're going to take damage, you should be able to heal. And amount. Current health, so now this is just going to be plus amount. Nothing really too special. And then we're going to have two more helper functions. Reset health. And all this is going to basically do is take the current health and set it back to max health. That's all that's going to do. And then another helper function, void dead, which is basically just going to set the current health equal to 0. Don't know why my scroller doesn't work. So there's a basic one. That will do the job we need it to do. So if we go back to here, I have this script set up. So there's the 3 things, the current health, max health, and is dead. There's the new health class I made from here. So compile it, see if we get any errors. No errors, okay. Basically what that does, so it takes the max health text and it sets it to the max health and sets the current health text to the current. So basically what it does when I run this, boom, 100, 100. So those are the current health. The current and the max. So that's what it does. So now what we have in this update. So we have, if I press A, I'm going to take damage. It's going to be a random amount between 1 and 0, or 1 and 10. And, or if I hit D, I'm going to heal between the amount of 1 and 10. If the health is character is dead, it's going to enable the is dead symbol sign, so it's going to come up saying you are dead. Otherwise, it's going to turn it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to update the health. If the character is dead, the health is going to go to color red, otherwise stay white. So this is going to happen in the update every update. Normally you wouldn't do, say, this part. So what's going to happen is you're actually going to call these heal and take damage from other areas. So like in an enemy script, you'd be telling them to take damage to the character would take damage. But for simplicity, these are here. So these are technically not supposed to be here. They're just here for convenience. So let's run this. So if I hit A, oops, I have to run it first. If I hit A, we decrease by amounts. If I hit D, I go up amounts. Oh. Ah, yes. I did not check that properly. Ooh. So now we have a current problem. Let's see here. Oh. Probably my heal damage. Aha. That resets. That's why. That's why you should always use the properties, because this way it actually checks the values. Otherwise, that would have been a big disaster. That was my fault. So now I can't go up. So I can go down, but I can't go past 100. I can't go past the max. So let's go down, 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 down. Oh, I'm dead. I can heal. Goes up for 1. Everything goes away, but then it goes to 0, switches to red. So that does what you want, but the problem is it's not very effective because it's literally taking out this part for functionality. It's literally, is it dead? Yes or no. Set the current text to health, even if the text doesn't change. And then check and set the color. So it's doing that every single. So literally, when we're here, I'm changing the health, so it's updating properly. But the problem is sitting like this, it's doing that 60 times a second, constantly checking to see if you're dead, setting the current health, and then setting the color, and it's doing that 60 times a second. That's a bit of a waste. We don't want that. So how do we get around that? Something I like to call, well, not I, everybody calls it, events. So we're going to create what's known as an event. So the first thing for events, we need, I'm dropping my mouse. We need what is called a delegate. It's public. And how we do a delegate, we specify its accessor like everything else. Then we type the word delegate. And basically a delegate it's a field, but it's a field for a method. It's basically a reference to a method. So much like a method, the delegate says this is the signature. So it's going to be void. And we'll say change health delegate. You can call it what you want. I usually just put delegate to tell what it is. Now an event takes two objects. Two inputs. It always takes two inputs. The first is object, sender, who's sending this event, and the next one is what's known as an arg, which is not going to show up because it has to be using system. And it takes the second one, what's known as arg. Oh god, what is it? I forgot. It uses something called event args. That's what it is. Sorry, not arg event. It's event args. My bad. Event args. We'll just set that to, and it actually doesn't matter what you sent it to. But that's what a delegate looks like. So it's pretty much says this is not a field. I shouldn't call it field. It's basically like this int. It's an int. It's defining any method that's going to point to the field with this object has to have an object's sender and an event arg e. It must return void. So that's the first thing we do. It sets up as a delegate. Then we're going to put in our events and region. So basically this is how an event works. Much like before, it's a public thing, and then we have to put our modifier. Then we're going to put in the keyword event. Then, much like our fields above, we have to define the type, which is a change health delegate. And then, much like field above, we name it. Change health event is what I call mine. So now, this is basically an event, which is sort of, it's hard to explain right now, but basically what it is it holds a list of listeners to this event. So what will happen is this event will be fired, and anybody that's added to this list of listeners will be called. And a listener must have the method signature like this. And I'll go through that in a second. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a helper function. You don't have to actually do this. You could just call the events where you need it, but I'll do it anyways. It's going to be public void. It's going to be called handle change health. I usually just have an event arg e equals null. You don't have to put in the null. I just put that in case I don't want to define anything. Now what this is going to do, it's going to first check if the change health event doesn't equal null. Basically what this means is if there's at least one listener, then send out the event. If there's no listener, you'll actually get an exception. There will be an exception thrown. So you can cover that with a try, or you can do this. I don't know, a try catch is kind of an iffy thing. It can go either way. If is considered more elegant, but I would say it's slightly slower because it's that extra bit of instruction. Alright, so anyways, what it's going to do is we're going to call that event, and we're going to pass it, we're going to call that event handler, so that field. So it's a field, but it's a method field. And it's a method field of change health delegate. So that means it's got to take in first an object, the sender, which is this object, which is the health class, and an event arg, which we're just going to pass it E. So E will either be null or whatever you choose to pass into it. You can set up your own event args to encapsulate extra information you might want to pass to any listeners. So if you want to pass perhaps extra information, anything you want to pass, like who did the damage maybe, I don't know. So we do that, we have that handler. Now you can put this handler in multiple places, but I'm just going to put it in the one that makes the most sense, which is the current health. The current health is the one that changes. So whenever the current health changes, we're going to want to call this handler. Alright? So basically what's going to happen is when you change the health, it's actually going to go into here and it's going to say, okay, is there anybody listening to this event? Then fire this event to those people. So if you have a Q, if you have a Q listener and a W listener and an E listener, they're all going to get this event saying, okay, this is who just sent the event, and this is the arguments. And they can do whatever they want in that field, and I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So we'll delete that. So we'll push that up. So there we go. So for a few things, you don't necessarily have to have all this, but you have a delegate, you have the event, and then I just personally put in this handler change, this handler, which pretty much checks to see if anybody's listening to the event. And then that handler I put in wherever the health changes, and this is where it changes always, because that's why it all funnels into this one method, because I use it everywhere. So it's always being funneled into that method. Otherwise, I'd have to put one in each one of these. Alright, so let's go to health script. So like I said, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is because this is being called, like I said, take this out. But this stuff here, this is being called every single frame. Every frame, 60 times a second. It's just doing this stuff, modifying it, blah, blah, blah. That's not much in this case, but there might be extra stuff you want to do. So what do we want to do? We actually want to create a method that will listen for when the health has changed. So what we'll call it void, and we'll call it update health. This is just normally what I call it. Now if you remember, it's got to match this signature. It has to match that signature. So it has to have an object, sender, and event args. I always think args event. I don't know why. So there, now that matches that signature. So it's a void and it takes an object and an event arg. So that's why kind of in this random I have the Unity engine, because I have the systems, which uses the event arg. And Unity engine, like systems has a random, and Unity engine has an event arg. Unity engine has a random as well as systems. So it creates this is how you get by the ambiguity. So I'm saying I want to use the Unity engine randomizer, not the C# randomizer. Alright, so now what we do is we take this information and we're going to cut this out and we're going to put it in here. So now rather than being updated 60 times a second, it's only going to be updated whenever current health changes. So it's going to go into current now. So Well, let me finish this first. So what we want to do in the start. So yeah, we have a method and it does this, but we haven't yet registered it with the health class as a listener. So what we want to do is we want to go to health.event equals update health. So now that's a listener. Oh, but I did something wrong. You can't just say update because there could be multiple files listening. You can have several people listening. You can have 60 different classes listening. Just gotta say plus equals. To unlisten, negative equals. So basically to set it up, so now update health will now listen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, we're going to run this, and you're not going to see much, nothing's different, right? Nothing's changed. You're dead, everything's going up, everything works. So not much has changed visually, but in terms of performance, if I cut this out, I could literally cut this out and not run this update whatsoever. So that means this script is not running an update whatsoever. That means you're one less update because, like I said, this is for testing. You wouldn't use this really. You would have another file calling the take damage, and that the health would actually link to that other health. You would have to link it and stuff like that. So it would actually listen. So that would be taken out. So that's one less update because this update for the update health will only ever be called whenever a change happens in the health. So to walk you through to understand, basically what this means is say the enemy goes and does an attack and you take damage. So what's going to happen is you're going to take the damage, you're going to get the amount, you're going to go into here, you're going to take the damage by going into current health, it's going to subtract it, so you're going to get your new current health. It's going to check at everything and be like, okay, you're all set now. Okay, now we're going to go into here and say, are there any files listening to the fact that the health has changed? Yes, there is, because I registered right here, update health is listening. So now what this file is going to do is going to say, okay, go and inform all my listeners, all the listeners to this event, that this health, this specific health, has actually changed. So what it's going to do, it's going to say, okay, hey, buddy, I just changed, and it's going to call this method. And this method's going to be like, oh, you changed? Okay, well, are you dead? You are? Okay, well, I'll put the sign up, or no, you're not. Okay, I'll keep it disabled. Then it's going to go change the health to the new value. Then it's going to go in here and say, okay, well, if you're dead, the new health is going to be 0. Otherwise, it's going to stay white. So that's literally, there's no updating going on right now. So performance-wise, visual-wise, nothing's changing. Performance-wise, right now, well, right now an update's still running, but imagine there wasn't one running. Right now, you wouldn't have an update running until I did this. Or this. 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 That's how many times it's called. So actually, let's put this in. And you'll see. Whoa, put that down. We'll put a debug. .log. And we'll say, oops, that's got to be string. Date health. And then we'll put another debug. Then we'll put it in update. And we'll just say update. Run that. And we'll open the console at the bottom here. So see, update's just going like crazy. It's just like, yeah, okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's from a different, that's why. So update health is only ever being called once in a while. As opposed, look at that. That's like already up to like 900 times that's been called. That's 1,000 times. That's 1,000 times it's been called. Imagine in like an RPG, you're in a battle. That's gonna be up to like 5,000-6,000. Right now, those average RPG 12 times that's been called. So that gives you a bit of an example. That will save you a lot of time. That does not. So that's a much more effective way. So if you have something that doesn't need to be updated, like this will work not only just for health, this will work for other things that don't necessarily need to be updated every single frame. Something that could be updated at later times, whenever something happens. So that's the point of the event. So that just makes it more robust. So hopefully that's helped and you enjoy this. If there's any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye now.